evening, everybody. I'm back. We had a little vacation from the podcast, but we're going to do it back. Now we have a little different format. We're going to be doing about crime, obviously, true cases and crime. I'm going to talk tonight about things that are going on that everybody talks about, that I hear about all the time. By the way, you notice I have National Police Defense Foundation. They're not a sponsor, but they're a contributor to the show. They're going to be having guests from the organization. The organization has 200,000 members around the world, and a lot of them are federal agents, customs, in all kinds of police departments, and they're really good. I had them on my show last time, and these guys are great. They're all experts in their field, and also we have a contributor is PI Magazine. Anthony, can you put the logo up, please? PI Magazine is a magazine for PI. What else? A good source of information for people, for other investigators, or also for products that you could use. When I used to teach a class on how to be your own private investigator, I used to recommend some of the places like the Spy Shop and certain places that people can get their equipment. Many people get paranoid, so they like to have equipment that can tell if there is a bug in the house or electronic intrusion device. And this is one of the places you can get information. Also, they have a list of investigators in different states. So if you have a case that not New York or not New Jersey, but let's say in Alabama, you might be able to get an investigator there to help you. Okay, we're going to talk about crime that's affecting everybody right now. You know, our cost of everything is unbelievable. Everything's almost double in price. And I'm not getting into politics because I had all my liberal friends got mad at me because I was too conservative. All two of them. Okay. Well, we're going to talk about crime. It affects everybody. The crime is runaway. Now, what amazes me is that the cities that have the highest crime rate have the lowest amount of police respect. They don't have respect for the police. They want to defund them. Now, New York City, they took, I think, $1 billion away from their budget. Okay, they don't have very few new recruits. They have this new law. I'm going to read it to you. It's called How Many Stops Act. Now, this is absolutely crazy. The city council voted on this. Now, the mayor vetoed it, but they got to have another vote to override the veto or to continue the veto. But let me tell you what they want to do. Every time someone goes to a police officer and asks them a question or says anything, they have to write it down. Now, they have what they call a logbook. Every cop has to carry that. But they got to write reports. So, for example, you're in Times Square and you see a police officer. Officer, can you tell me where Madame Tussauds museum is? He said, yeah, it's down the block, 2 blocks. Okay. He's got to write that in. It's ridiculous. Now, what that does is hampers the police. They have to take time to write the report. But if they don't write the report, they get a rip. They get in trouble. Okay. This is another thing the city council, which is very, very, very liberal, leftist, and this is what they want to do. Now, the main thing is that they claim that police officers in New York City are racist. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of minorities are police officers now. Matter of fact, about 60% of police officers in New York City are either Hispanic, Black, or Indian, or other races other than Caucasian. Okay. Also, very interesting. When a cop has to investigate or talk to somebody, I mean, sometimes you have to do that for the case. Then you write a report. That's okay. Not this stupid report that someone wants some direction. Okay, 88.9% of interviews with families of murdered victims, most of them are minorities. 72% of rape victims 68% of robbery victims. Blacks and Hispanics are overwhelming by the victimization. So what we have in New York City is in the poorer areas, South Bronx, Brooklyn, parts of Manhattan, you have high crime. Okay, and who gets victimized is the blacks and Hispanic. They're being victimized by their own people. So where's this racist bullshit coming from? Okay, now cashless bail was a good idea for a moment. Okay, what they're saying is, well, a young black kid, he gets arrested, it's his first time. All right, we'll give him bail, let him go. But according to this, hey, PI Magazine, okay, .com, all right. What happens is on a first offense or something, a minor offense, no bail, go home. All right, come back to court. What happened? They exaggerated this thing by having the people go home, commit another crime, and do this. Some of these cases, 40, 50 times. They have these people walking around the subway, pushing people off the subway, attacking them for no reason. Now, what I think it is a mental disorder, okay? But it's still a criminal act. So how do you handle something like that? Now, there was a bill or a push to have social workers handle these things. I don't see that happening because the social worker is not equipped to handle somebody who's violent. They could talk to them. They're not going to give them any medications on the street. But what happens is they get assaulted. Okay. At least a police officer has a gun, a taser, handcuffs, whatever he can do. Okay. So that was one of the liberal ideas to address the crime issue, but it's not working. Crime keeps going up. People are afraid. It's affecting business in New York City. You have shoplifters, brazen, going into expensive stores on Fifth Avenue, going in with 20, 30 people, just robbing everything. Now, in California, they have a law that if you shoplift anything under $1,000, they don't prosecute. So what do? They rob $999 worth of stuff. So they can, and I've seen video. I don't have, Anthony, we don't have any videos of them, right? The next time we'll have. They just go in, they pull cars up, 20, 30 guys go in there, they come out. And nothing happens to them. Now, in a couple instances, the security guards are told not to do anything. And a few times a security guard did something, he got in trouble trying to stop it. So how do we address the crime issue? Do we vote the people out? Here's the problem. They keep voting the same people every election, same people, the same thing. And the people that vote them in complain about the crime, but they don't do anything about it. Vote these people out. I'll give you an example. Chicago, heavy crime, okay? You had Lori Lightfoot, who was a lightweight to begin with. She was clueless, okay? Now they have an election. They have two guys, two minorities, okay? They vote in the guy who's anti-police. I don't understand that. Why do they do that? Now, in the ghetto neighborhood, they're having shootouts. It's all about drugs. They have a turf wars. They're shooting each other, and they're lousy shots. So what they do is they shoot at each other, and innocent people get shot. So I don't understand. Get more police on the street. And the cops really don't want to do their job. Some of them, hey, I'm not indemnified. If I do something, I'm gonna get sued. It's crazy. And then you have cops getting arrested for shooting somebody in the line of duty, and then they have to get lawyers and they have to fight the case. And in many of the cases, they do win. Now you do have cops that are not professional. Okay, let's just say that. But you have that in every industry, in every profession. I worked for the State Board of Medicine. I was the chief investigator there. We had doctors who went to medical school, had residencies, tremendous education, and they made mistakes. They did stupid things. They hurt people. They killed people. So every profession has their bad guys, but you can't victimize the police entirely. It's ridiculous. Now, one of the other criminal acts that we have pending is the migrant issue. Now, here's my beef about that. During the campaign of 2020, Biden made it very clear that these people were welcome. Okay. All right, not a problem. Except they didn't make, logistically, they didn't have any plans for all these thousands of people. Now, when Trump had to stay in Mexico before you come in, people waited, come in, fill out the form, whatever they had to do for citizenship. Okay. Or green card. Now, they just can't, even then, when there was one migrant caravan, about 20,000, they told them you can't come in. They stopped them at the border, whatever. They did whatever they had to do legally. Now, you have thousands, I mean, sometimes 5,000 a day. It's a ridiculous number. Now, here's my problem with that. These people leave a terrible situation. I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. But you have to have a place for them to stay, health care, and all that kind of. They didn't plan that. They just said, let's come on. Now, Kamala Harris yesterday said something about, we're going to give them a path to citizenship. So, again, I don't want to be political, but that sounds like you got 8 million new Democrats. That's what it comes down to. They want these people to come in and become citizens and vote. But how about all the people that died on the way? They don't talk about that. When you come over from Mexico, Guatemala, all these things, you're going through, especially the summertime, desert, hostile areas, no water. It's just terrible. Many people have died by exposure from heat, dehydration. I could go on and on and on. Then you have a whole bunch that have died crossing the river. Now, who do you blame for that? The government, you have to blame them because they did not take precaution and say, okay, we're going to have 50,000 people come in. We're going to have an area for them to stay, shelter, food. No. So what they're doing is they infiltrate Texas. Now, Texas is a pretty large state, but they can't handle all these people. So what they did was the governor there sent them out to other states, and he got criticized for that. Well, I'm not defending him, but it's logical. If you can't handle these people, send them to the sanctuary cities. Now, the sanctuary cities don't want to handle them. So that's the hypocrisy that is amazing. Chicago, we don't want them. New York City, big sanctuary city. Now, when an illegal alien was arrested in New York City, and ICE would come in and try to deport them or whatever. Oh no, the sanctuary city, you can't touch them. All right, they walked away. Now, the sanctuary cities have all these migrants and they can't handle them. They put them in Floyd Bennett Field. I mean, it's a field. Come on. What do you put, a couple tents? And what they're doing is they're going to the neighborhoods around there and they're knocking on doors. They're stealing. And you know what? If I'm there with my family or my kids or whatever, and they're hungry and I have food, I'm going to steal. And that's what they're doing. Also, the city has given them food and they don't want it. They don't like it. They don't like the food. Meanwhile, beggars can't be choosy. So how do we address this? Now, I would only think that through the proper legislation and the proper laws. Now, here's what I don't like. Congress has been fighting the Democrats, Republicans. They claim they can't come to a conclusion. But you still have how many millions of people came into this country. Now, the problem with those people is that what they call getaways. Now, the getaways, they don't stop and talk to the police. They get away. Okay. Why do they get away? Because a lot of them are criminals. A lot of them belong to the Mexican cartels. By the way, the Mexican cartels run the border. They actually run the border. They have people coming over. They have to work for them or pay them back with their own money. They call it the coyotes. They traffic unbelievable amount of people. Women are being trafficked. And what are we gonna do? The custom border agents, they're overwhelmed. They can't handle it. Brought the National Guard in, and the federal government said, "Oh no, you can't put barbed wire fence. You can't do this." So they want the people to come in, but they're not handling it correctly. So what do we do now? I'd like people to. You're going to see me on YouTube, Instagram, and I like getting messaged. I like people commenting on what I'm doing or what I'm saying, and it helps me when I do my podcast. Very simple. I don't think that the general public, the United States government, the United States population, are happy with this immigration policy. Now, when they do polls, they ask them, what are your main concerns? Economy. Economy is unbelievable. People are living paycheck to paycheck. You go to the grocery store and supermarket. Eggs, what used to be $1.99, now to $3.99. Everything is so expensive. How do you handle that? Well, everything. It's my opinion that everything centers on oil, gasoline. When you raise the price of gasoline, the people that deliver the food have to charge more money, and the people that work in the store have to charge more money because they're paying more money too. So everybody's paying more money, and then the consumer has to pick up the cost. It's simple economics. You don't have to be a MIT graduate or a Harvard graduate to figure this out. But the people in Washington, who are all very rich, and I'll tell you, that's my other beef. These people go into the Congress and the Senate fairly well off, middle class, maybe upper middle class. They come out multimillionaires. Why? Because they write the laws, they write the legislation. So they know when there's going to be legislation or something's going to happen that's going to cause the stocks to rise. Look at Nancy Pelosi. She worth over $200 million. She, Dianne Feinstein, which may she rest in peace, her husband owns a big real estate company. He bought post office property that was up for auction, and he got paid from the government to do it. I mean, you're talking about double dipping, and they know where the money's going to be. I'll give you an example. Nancy Pelosi bought a lot of Tesla stock. Not that she liked Elon Musk, but she knew that the post office was going to get electric trucks to deliver the mail. So she bought the stock, and the stock obviously went up. So this is the corruption we have in our government. It's never going to go away, but it should be compartmentalized maybe. What we have to do also is have term limits for Congress and the Senate. How come the presidents can only run for 2 terms? Most governors can only run for 2 terms. But the lawmakers who make the law can run forever. Now you have people in Congress that are there for 30, 40 years, like Biden was there 40 years. Schumer, I think he's at least 40 some years. And you take a guy like Schumer, never had a real job. He went to law school, came out right away, got into politics, and that's what they do. Now the founding fathers of this country, when they instituted Congress and Senate, they wanted it as a part-time job. It's like, hey, let's have a part-time. They made it into a profession. And these people, that's why they spend millions of dollars on their campaign. You look at the primary, even the Republican primary, how much money have they spent trying to get the primary vote? I mean, unbelievable. And then they lose their, you get a guy like Christie, he runs, he he wasted a few $1 million just to have his name in the pic. And you have all, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I'm hoping that enough people realize that we as a people have to do something about it. We have to tell our congressmen and our senators, hey, why don't you get some term limits? Nobody does. I don't know why they don't do that. Go listen. We need term limits. You want to be in Congress, instead of 2 years and then have another election. Four terms. That's it. 8 years altogether. Tops. Same thing with the senators. They're in for 6 years. Let them have 2 terms. That's 12 years. If they can't do their job in 12 years, then they shouldn't be there to begin with. And I don't understand why they can't come to some sort of conclusion about the immigration problem. It is a problem. Now, they made Kamala Harris, the vice president, immigration czar. She never went to the border. I think once she went to up north one day, and then she went to Guatemala and Honduras and said, we're going to find the root cause of immigration. The root cause is these poor countries. The people, the money that we give to them, it goes in the pocket of the politicians there. Politicians, they're all crooks. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, there are honest politicians, but they're far and few in between. So what are we going to do? Hopefully, I can convince some people when time comes to vote. I don't care if you vote Democrat or Republican, but vote for the right people. Vote for the people that want to help the country, not hurt it. It's just amazing. It's amazing. Now, again, I don't want to be political, but we're going to talk. Now, next week, I'm going to have somebody from National Police Defense Foundation. We're going to talk about, of course, it'll be crime related. We're going to have, I'll let you, I'll put something on Facebook, who we're going to have. And I hope we have enough people watching. I don't know if you can read, you believe everything you read in the newspaper. Some of it is exaggerated, whatever, but there's a migrant group from Venezuela in Miami. Now, Miami is pretty safe as far as crime. The mayor there is all about law and order, and the cops there keep doing a good job. But you have a violent gang called Tren de Aragua. They take girls and traffic them for sex. And how you know that is they put tattoos behind their ears. That's how they identify. And it's crazy because what happens is they come from a poor country. They get trafficked. They have family in the country, in the old country, in Venezuela. And they're told, if you don't listen, we're going to kill your parents, or we're going to do something to your parents. So the kids, what are they going to do? They have no recourse. They have nobody to go to. And it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. And I don't see how law enforcement can handle that. Now, Chicago recently arrested 47 migrants for shoplifting. Now, you got to remember, you look at the news, you see in Chicago, in LA, San Francisco, people running in and robbing Prada bags, Louis Vuitton. They go to the best stores and steal everything. They run out, anybody in their way, they just push them out of the way. Now, these migrants, you think they don't see this? They don't know this? So they say, look, I'm coming to a country, I'm going to get some free stuff, and I'm going to rob some stuff because they're not going to do anything to me. So eventually, some do get arrested. It depends on what. Now, San Francisco got rid of their DA. Their DA was not even doing their job. They did a recall, got rid of him. Yeah, him. And by the way, he was his father was a known communist. I forgot the name, Chester, something like that. I mean, I don't know how they vote these people in, but they do. So we have to do something about this. And I hope that I can impress upon people to think about who they vote for in the next election, whatever the next election. Now we have a national, we have a presidential coming up in 11 months. November, this is January, almost February, 10 months. Now, again, I don't want to be political, but whoever you want to vote for, make sure that they're going to do the job for you. They're going to do things that's going to help the country, not help themselves or line their pockets, because that's what they do. Okay, I got a couple more minutes. Um, uh, Once a year, I used to give a seminar on how to be your own private eye. Take a one day. I rent a place in Manhattan, or it could be anywhere, but usually Manhattan, and we have a 1 day seminar on tricks of the trade, things that we do. I bring an electronic expert in to show some electronic things. So if you are interested in something like that, and it'll be happening probably June when the weather gets better, May or June. Drop me a line. You can message me on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, and I'll keep you in the list on the list, and then I'll keep you in the loop. And it's not expensive. I forgot we did this like 25 years ago. Um, I think it was $99 for the day or 190, something like that. It was worth it. I used to get a lot of. I get about 20, 30 people, 40 people sometimes, depending on how many people. I'll rent the bigger space. That's all, and I'll get more experts and stuff like that. And thank you for tuning in. And I love comments. I love if I'm doing something wrong, I want to know. I want to correct it. Unlike some of the politicians we have, but I'm very proud to be with the National Police Defense Foundation. They have over 200,000 members around the world, and they have and the PI magazine. Um, they're very, very good for private eyes, but also the general public. I mean, that's not an expensive magazine. You have to subscribe to it. It's only 6 issues a year. Um, and again, please, I like feedback. I like to do a better job. And on Arthur Avenue, where we have our meetings and we have meet at restaurants and still, even though the neighborhood's changed a bit, it still has this Italian flavor. We have a thing, a saying when we go, it goes, Sempre Noi, means always with us. So that's what I'm saying every night when I end the podcast, Sempre Noi. And I want to thank Anthony, my director. He's very good. I don't know how he puts up with me, but I am so bad with computers. And so I lose my passwords. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I surround myself with good people, and they help smooth out the rough edges. How's that? Okay. So good night, everybody, and tune in again. I'll be posting on Facebook and Instagram, and of course YouTube. I get a lot of response from YouTube. I do a reaction video about crazy cases, and we get some really good response. Yesterday we did one about crazy people doing dumb criminals caught on tape. That's basically the format. Yesterday we got 10,000 views in one day. That's pretty good. I hope we get that many views on our podcast also. Good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.